Hey guys, today we're back with another versus review. And today on the channel we'll be doing a versus review between the CZ Shadow 2 and the CZ Shadow 2 Accushadow Custom Shop Edition. Stay tuned for this one. Alright guys, we're back. Once again, today we're going to be doing a versus review between the normal Shadow 2 and the CZ Accushadow, if I can get it out of the box anyway. There we go. The Shadow 2, just from an MSRP standpoint, comes in at about around $2,200. The Shadow 2 Accushadow is $2,200. The Shadow 2, which is in this hand, comes in at about around $1,450 to $1,500 MSRP. You can find some of these guns before Corona times about around $1,200 to $1,150, but now during Corona times they've been selling anywhere from $13 to $14, if you can even find them with that. So the Accushadow comes with 3 mags from factory, bushing, barrel wrench, target paper, and that's pretty much the only differences between the Accushadow and the Shadow 2 whenever it comes from what you get from factory, because the Shadow 2 only comes with 2 mags instead of 3. So we'll go ahead and take them out of the box, sit them down here, so we can do a full versus review with all this out of the way. So from what I can tell, I've got this one a little bit oiled up because I didn't know whenever I'd be messing with it again, just didn't want it to rust or anything while I was away. But they pretty much weigh almost the same. I think it's about around 46 ounces. Don't hold that to me. I'm just reading that from my memory. They have the same sights on them, same sight radius. Everything is almost the exact same on these guns, except the Accushadow has a bushing at the end of it, whenever the Shadow 2 does not. And that's pretty much the biggest difference in these guns, is that the Shadow 2 has a accurate bushing in it, 1/4 turn if I do recall right, whenever the Shadow 2 does not. So what that means is this gun actually has a accuracy guarantee of a 3 MOA group at 50 yards. And that is almost unheard of. Most Wilson Combats have a 3-inch, if I do recall right on that again, a 3-inch group at 25 yards. So at 50 yards with a 3-inch group, I mean, that's something to really brag about, and that's the main reason I bought this gun, because their big thing behind the Accushadow, it is the most accurate custom, pre-custom production pistol on the market. This is technically a CZ custom pistol, but they're a little bit easier to find than, say, a custom gun. Even though these right here will run you $2,200, whenever you compare that to a Wilson Combat new running $3,000 to $3,500 to even in the $5,000 and $6,000 and $8,000 range, depending on what you want. This is a very good pistol for that price point. A little bit differences in them from what I can tell. The bottom of the Accushadow, or not Accushadow, but the Shadow 2 feels like it is a black polycoat. Sorry, I was making sure I got that correct. Whenever the bottom of the Shadow 2 Accushadow actually feels like it is a little bit slicker. I understand I've got oil all over it right now, but I did recall that whenever I didn't have oil on it, that the frame feels like it's a tiny bit different, feels a little bit more slick than the Accushadow, or than the Shadow 2. A little bit more differences if you're looking at these from a, whatever differences they have in them. The Accushadow also has all polished internals, and they actually polished the ramp. They also polished the internals and the slide on it, so whenever you rack this thing, go ahead and take the mag out of both of them. If I can get this one in my hand. We'll set these to the side so we don't get them mixed up, even though they're the same mag. The Shadow 2, if you can hear this, it's nowhere near as smooth as the actual Accushadow. So it feels like it's riding on ball bearings, because it really about truly is. And that's something I absolutely love about this pistol. Single action in these guns, as you can see here, you hit a wall and you pretty much breathe on it and it will go off. With the Shadow 2, the single action on it is good, and you hit that wall also and you break. They say that both of them has a 3.3 pound trigger. This one right here feels more like a 2 pound. I don't have a gauge with me, but that's just from what I can tell, just from my shooting experience. Just a little bit of tiny difference. Whenever you hit the wall here, you have a tiny little bit of travel and pow. With the Accushadow, whenever you hit the wall, you don't have any travel at all, and it goes off. So I guess that's just them polishing it custom from factory that they've done that also with it. The double action in the Accushadow is smooth all the way through, one continuous pull. The Shadow 2, whenever you do a double action pull on it, feels a little bit of grittiness, a lot heavier, and one constant pull through, still very good, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it doesn't hold a flame to the Accushadow, which, like I was saying, there's about around a $700 to $800 differences in them. And, you're going to make sure that you want to feel that difference in them whenever you're actually looking to purchase either one of them. And that's why they have this one so much more than this one, not just because of the barrel bushing in it to make it more accurate, but you know that they've done a little bit more custom polishing and custom everything with the Accushadow just to make it worth that money. So pretty much, as you all can see, these guns are almost identical. And that's the thing about it that's kind of hard to, put a review out there, because these, if you want to be dead honest, these right here at one point was the exact same pistol. But the Accushadow has had the CZ Custom Shop took care of it, and they added the bushing barrel in it, and they also polished internals and just fixed it up a little bit. And that's the thing about it, is that at one point, like I said, both of them was the same pistol, but in the end, they're different, very different actually, whenever it comes to a versus review. And that being said though, which one is worth the more money? The CZ Shadow 2 coming in at about around $1,500, or the Accushadow coming in at $22, depending on where you can find it. Like I said, these, I'm trying to get an idea of, so whenever this Corona stuff is over, you can get a better accurate figuring of how much you're going to be paying for each of them. During the non-Corona times, the Accushadow was running about around $1,799 to $1,800, whenever the Shadow 2 was running about around $11 to $12, depending on where you could find it and if you could find it, because both of these are very, very popular guns. And, at times, give or take, it would have been hard to find either one of them. Well, I don't know what she's doing. We had a little visitor come along. She scared me to death. I didn't know she's in here. But anyway, getting back to the review, the Accushadow, I think personally, is worth the extra $600 to $700 you'd be spending on it versus the Shadow 2. Because if you're going to go all out and you're wanting the best competition pistol on the market, the Shadow 2 is the way to go. Personally, I've shot 2011s. I like them a lot, don't get me wrong, but now they've had, the 2011s do have some type of a problem whenever it comes to reliability. I think I read a few reviews online and saw a few reviews to where some people were saying that, every 2 to 3 rounds out of every 100 or 200 rounds, you're going to have a failure. Neither of these guns have ever failed me, and I've put plenty of rounds through them to find out. But, that's something that you're just going to have to look for yourself if you want reliability over whatever else. But now people say that the 2011s do have reliability issues, and I've heard people that's actually had these that's put more rounds through this than I can even ever dream about, said it's never had a fumble or bobble or anything at all, that it just runs anything you want to give it. And I 100% would rather have reliability any day over anything else. But now, looking at the Accushadow versus 2011 in accuracy and everything, it's still right up there with it. Some people say the 2011s are a tad bit more accurate, and some people say they're right there at the same spot. I'll have to get one myself to be the exact judge of that, but just from what I've read and what I've viewed, they're pretty much right there on the same spot. But now, if you're wanting just a competition pistol to shoot around with buddies, maybe enter a few competitions with yourself, you're not really that serious about it, and you also want a great self-defense home gun, then the Shadow 2 for $1,200 or $13 or $14, wherever you can find one at for the price you can right now, is a very great deal, and I think that they've done a really good job with these pistols too. But if you had unlimited amounts of money to spend and you was looking at which one is the better gun and everything else, it's 100% the Accushadow. And if I had to pick myself, 1,250 versus 2,200, I would rather have the Accushadow myself. So guys, I appreciate y'all viewing. I hope I answered all questions in this video. If you have any questions or anything that I didn't answer, leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. You all know I'm always trying to talk to anybody I can on there to make sure I answer any questions that I might have left out. But guys, I appreciate y'all viewing. Like and subscribe for more gun reviews, and I'll see y'all in the next video.